The 1974 FIFA World Cup is the story of two nations. One was the Netherlands, which revolutionised the sport with its total football. The second was hosts West Germany, who were expected to win. They did not know it then, but both were set on a collision course in a final of clashing styles. This is the story of the 10th FIFA World Cup. West Germany was favourites with good reason. They won the 1972 European Championship, and Bayern Munich had won the European Cup just a few weeks before the tournament. The key players were captain Franz Beckenbauer and the free-scoring Gerd Müller. For the Netherlands, this was their first World Cup since 1938. Dutch football had grown immensely in the 70s, and saw club side Ajax win 3 European Cups in a row between 1971 and 1973. The side was led on the pitch by Johan Cruyff, who became one of the greatest players of all time. Off the pitch, they were led by manager Rinus Michels, a man who would be named Coach of the Century by FIFA in 1999. Michels was hired just 3 months before the tournament. He developed a fluid 4-3-3 formation during his spell at Ajax, and he implemented the same approach for the World Cup. Up front, he played Cruyff as a free-roaming number 9, alongside 2 wingers Johnny Rep and Rob Rensenbrink. All 3 switched positions when required, which confused defenders. Similarly in midfield, Johan 𝐟𝐵𝐿𝐵, Willem van Hanegem and Wim Jansen were all comfortable with the ball and were able to interchange at will. Michels also gave fullbacks Wim Serbier and Ruud Krol the freedom to join attacks to overwhelm defenders. Before moving on to the main tournament, I would appreciate a like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. My next video in 2 weeks will be on the 1978 World Cup. Also, stay tuned until the end, where I will go over notable stats from this World Cup. Thank you. The Netherlands were drawn into a group with Uruguay, Bulgaria and Sweden. Their opening fixture was against a strong Uruguay side. Uruguay from the first minute opted to break up the Dutch play with tough tackles. However, the Dutch were not intimidated, and Rep headed a ball in after just 7 minutes. Uruguay became more desperate and was reduced to 10 men after 69 minutes, when Montero Castillo was sent off for a late tackle. Rep sealed a 2-0 win with a tap-in after 86 minutes. The game against Sweden proved to be more frustrating. Sweden also played physically and broke up Dutch attacks with fouls. This resulted in 4 Swedish players being booked. Despite Cruyff showcasing the Cruyff turn, the game ended goalless. In the third game versus Bulgaria, the floodgates opened for the Dutch. They started fast, with 𝐟𝐵𝐿𝐵 scoring a penalty after 5 minutes. 𝐟𝐵𝐿𝐵 scored another penalty just before half-time to put the Dutch 2 up. Rep made it 3-0 with a brilliant volley before de Jong secured a 4-1 win with a late header. The Netherlands finished top of the group with 5 points. West Germany was one of 4 seeded teams and was drawn into a seemingly straightforward group that contained Chile, Australia and East Germany. After 2 games, it seemed true, as they beat Chile and Australia. Their third game, however, was against rivals East Germany. It was the group decider, as East Germany was 1 point behind. The match was politically charged, as it was the capitalist West versus the communist East. The tension increased because of the security at the tournament. Munich had held the 1972 Olympics, which saw Israeli athletes and coaches murdered by the Palestinian group Black September. West German player Paul Breitner referred to their training camp as a fortress. Despite this, West Germany was confident. Tabloid paper Bild headlined with, "Why we will win today." The optimism hid the chaos behind the scenes. Manager Helmut Schön and players had threatened to walk out over poor player bonus payments. After they settled on a figure, Schön berated his players. "All I ever hear from you is money, money, money." The tension for Schön was understandable. He was originally from East Germany and had even managed there. He was, however, forced to flee to the west after political interference. The West German players knew their Dresden-born coach wanted, no, needed to win this match at all costs. West Germany started stronger. They had numerous chances but failed to convert. Their best chance fell to Gerd Müller, who hit the post. West Germany continued to dominate the second half, but as the game remained scoreless, the tension rose, and East Germany grew confident. The pivotal moment came in the 77th minute. 𝐼𝐮𝐬𝐼𝐻𝐵𝐻𝐻 controlled a cross well and fired the ball into the roof of the net from close range. Despite constant pressure from the West Germans, East Germany held on and caused one of the greatest shocks in World Cup history. It was the only time the two faced each other before reunifying. Remarkably, the result proved to be a blessing in disguise for West Germany. Instead of a knockout format, the second round saw two groups of 4 teams compete for a place in the final. By finishing second, West Germany ended up in the easier group made up of Poland, Sweden and Yugoslavia. Group winners Netherlands were in a group of Brazil, Argentina and East Germany. Germany overcame their defeat by beating Yugoslavia 2-0 in their opening game. Rising star Paul Breitner opened the scoring before Gerd Müller scored his first goal of the tournament. An easy win was expected against Sweden, but they proved to be tough opposition. Sweden was 1-0 up at half-time. In the second half, the game was end-to-end. This resulted in 3 goals being scored in 3 minutes, as Germany prevailed 4-2. In their final game of the group, Germany would face the tournament surprise package, Poland. They had qualified for the World Cup by knocking out England. It was Poland's first World Cup since 1938, and they were expected to make up the numbers. But here they were, level on points with Germany, and just 1 win away from the final. Germany just needed a draw due to a better goal difference. The conditions were awful. Torrential rain in the build-up led to the pitch being full of deep pools of water. The ball would get stuck repeatedly, which hampered Poland's possession-based football. The weather caused a 30-minute delay in kickoff. The game would be known as the Water Battle of Frankfurt. Poland started well and was on the front foot for most of the first half. They found themselves in favourable positions numerous times, but were let down by poor finishing. Most shots went off target. In the second half, Germany started stronger and was awarded a penalty when Holzenbein was brought down. Uli Hoeneß took the penalty, but it was a weak effort that was saved by Jan Tomaszewski, a man known as the tiger between the posts in Poland. No German would miss a penalty in normal time in a competitive game again until 36 years later in 2010. Germany would finally break the deadlock after 76 minutes through Gerd Müller. The ball fell to him in the box, and he controlled the ball with a single touch before firing it low into the corner. Poland would push for the equaliser, but Germany held on and were in the final. Breitner would later say about Poland, they had a better team at that World Cup than Germany, Holland, Brazil, or anyone else for that matter. As for the Dutch, it was during this second group phase that they established their total football legacy. Despite being drawn with Brazil, Argentina and East Germany, they would swat all opposition aside with ease. In their opening game against Argentina, they put up their best performance of the tournament. They dominated the game from start to finish. Cruyff opened the scoring after just 11 minutes. He received a through ball that he controlled beautifully and then went around the keeper before rolling the ball into an empty net. Krol then doubled their lead in the 25th minute with an excellent strike from the edge of the box. In the second half, Argentina tried to get more physical with the Dutch, but it made little difference. Rep scored the third with a header after 73 minutes, before Cruyff sealed a 4-0 win in the 90th minute. In their second game, the Netherlands beat East Germany as expected. They won 2-0 thanks to goals from 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐿 and Rensenbrink. The final game was against 1970 champions Brazil. Both teams had won 2 games, but the Dutch had a better goal difference. This meant Brazil had to win. Despite the retirement of Pelé, Brazil was still a formidable side and one of the favourites. They still had the likes of Rivellino and 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐷 from the 1970 winning side. Brazil started the game well and pressed for a goal. They had a couple of early chances but missed. In the second half, Brazil became more desperate and committed more players forward. This gave the Dutch more space to exploit and they created more chances. Holland would finally break through thanks to 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐷, who finished beautifully with his first touch after playing a 1-2. In the 65th minute, Cruyff doubled their lead with a brilliant volley after meeting a cross in the box. Brazil tried hard to find a goal but failed, and Holland sealed their place in the final with a 2-0 win. Despite being drawn into a tough group, the Dutch won all 3 games and finished with 8 goals scored and 0 conceded. Thanks to their stunning performances in the second group stage, the Dutch went into the final as overwhelming favourites. They had won the hearts of neutral fans due to their wonderful free-flowing football. The final was held in Munich on the 7th of July in front of a crowd of 75,000. The game started with a bang as Cruyff received the ball on the halfway line and then dribbled into the box before being brought down by 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐿. After just 1 minute, the Netherlands had a penalty. 𝐦𝐮𝐬𝐜 scored to give the Dutch the lead before any German had touched the ball. Netherlands continued to dominate the ball and interchanged constantly, but they failed to get a second goal. It has since been said the Dutch were more focused on showcasing their brand of football and embarrassing the Germans. Van Hanegem later said, "I didn't give a damn as long as we humiliated them." Germany began to recover and in the 24th minute were awarded a penalty after 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐿 went down after a tackle from 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜. How much contact was made is still debated. 23-year-old left-back Breitner took responsibility for the penalty. He calmly slotted it into the bottom corner. Remarkably, he would later admit, "I wasn't supposed to take the spot kick, but I was nearest to the ball." The goal seemed to shock the Dutch. This was the first time they had lost the lead in the tournament. Cruyff grew frustrated as German 𝐸𝐺𝐻 man-marked him around the pitch. This forced Cruyff to drop deeper, but to his annoyance, 𝐸𝐺𝐻 still followed him. Germany meanwhile got a huge confidence boost from the goal. They began to show more urgency in attack and made more direct attacks. Their tenacity paid off in the 43rd minute. German Bonhoff crossed the ball from the right flank to Müller in the box. He took a first touch that put his back against the goal, but using his natural finishing ability, he swiveled while shooting to fire Germany into a 2-1 lead. The Dutch were angry going into the break, highlighted by Cruyff getting booked for arguing with the ref as they walked down the tunnel. They were still thinking about the German penalty. The Netherlands started the second half strong. They were more urgent with the ball and pressed for a goal. Germany seemed content with sitting back and making sure they defended compactly. They were disciplined in defence thanks to the leadership of Beckenbauer. Despite this, the Dutch had their chances, including forcing Breitner into a goal line clearance. As time went on, the beautiful football of the Dutch seemed to give way to more long balls. Instead of spreading their players out, they were now pushing more players towards the box into tighter spaces among the compact German defence. The Dutch had a few chances, but the Germans defended resolutely. Germany had their chances too, and Müller scored, but it was controversially disallowed for offside. The Germans held on and won 2-1. Germany had won their second World Cup. In the aftermath, the 1974 Netherlands team would be known as one of the greatest teams to never win the World Cup. Germany would be known for their tenacity and never give up mentality. They became the first team to win the European Championship and then the World Cup. This feat would not be repeated until Spain in 2010. Notable stats from the tournament include 97 goals were scored in 38 matches, giving an average of 2.55 per match. Poland finished top scorers with 16 goals. Polish winger 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐿 was the top scorer with 7 goals. Gerd Müller scored his 14th World Cup goal, which set a record for the most scored in World Cup history. He played in 13 matches. The penalties awarded in the final were the first ever awarded in a World Cup final. Well, there you have it. That was the story of the 1974 FIFA World Cup. My next video will be on the 1978 World Cup in 2 weeks. So, if you would like to learn more, please hit that subscribe and notification bell. Thanks for watching.